It's green. Well, I guess that makes sense. Ah! I guess that makes sense if it's plant-based, right? Just drop my banana. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hi, my name's Athena. I'm 30 years old, and I feel like I'm still getting my shit together. I've struggled a lot with my identity for various reasons, and that's kind of why I've settled on the alias Athena Amoeba, because an amoeba is a shape-shifting entity that changes its form pretty consistently, and I feel like that's literally been me for the last 10 years. Change is necessary. Growth is important. If we go our whole lives being the exact same, that probably means we haven't grown very much. Hey! Shh, Billy! So even though I'm really happy that I've actually changed since high school and I'm not the same person that I was back then, there's certain things that I miss. I miss feeling like I know who I am. I miss feeling confident in my identity. Even though I was never confident in my appearance and my body, I was at least confident in my identity. I knew who I was. I knew what I was about. And I miss that. I wish I could get back to that. I wish I could get back to being happy to be myself. My 20s was a shit show. I struggled a lot with drinking entirely too much. I drank a lot with the intent to black out, like that's what I wanted, and it was specifically so that I didn't feel anything. So in a way I was self-medicating with alcohol, and I was drinking every single day, and not in my early 20s. That started when I was like 15, so that just carried over into my early 20s, and as you can imagine, the more alcohol became accessible to me, the worse it kind of got. That's something that I was dealing with, along with depression, which is the reason why I was drinking so much. I also had body dysmorphia. So like I said, even though I was happy with myself, I was never happy with my body. I never had confidence in my body. I always felt fat. I always felt ugly. Even in times when I was actually thin and I didn't realize it, I thought I was fat. And I thought I was ugly. So these are always feelings that I've had about myself, and to be honest, still have them about myself today. So that's challenging, especially at this age. You feel like you would at least find your confidence by the age of 30, but not all of us do. And I'm here to tell you that if you're in the same boat, you're not alone. And if you're younger than 30, I'm still going through that process, and maybe you seeing me go through my process can help you in some sort of way. And if you're older than 30, it's never too late to find your confidence, to learn how to love yourself. But it takes practice, right? It's a practice, and that is what I'm interested in learning to do consistently. Another thing that made my 20s a shit show was that I was living my life for other people. From my teens to my early 20s, music was my life. I was really into metal. I was in several bands. You know, we actually released some demos, some albums. We played a lot of shows. But that whole experience was also clouded with alcoholism. Me and all of my other band members, pretty much in every single band I was in, we cared more about getting drunk than we did about playing. And don't get me wrong, we did play, we came up with music a lot. I'm actually looking back, I'm like really impressed with us. We were so creative and had so much material. Was it the best music in the world? Definitely not. But the point is that we were doing it, right? And the problem is, I feel like we had creativity, we had drive, we had a lot of positive qualities, but all of us really struggled, I think, with, you know, mental health, looking back, and part of our coping was alcohol, and all of us were drinking all the time, and if that wasn't there, I think we could have taken music more seriously. So the one thing that I was pursuing that I genuinely had interest in was negatively impacted by my need to be drunk all the time, and then everything else in my life, all of my energy, all of my time was going towards things that I did not care about. I went to college, I went to school, and while I know that that's a privilege, I didn't want to. So I was just wasting my time doing something I didn't want to do. And it's not like my college was being paid for by somebody, you know? Honestly, my dad did help, but he was kind of the main person who like pressured me to go. But I had to pay out of my own pocket. I was working when I went to college. I used credit cards. I got loans. I even got some grants, which is nice, but I still have debt from going to school, which is not something that I wanted. So I put so much time and so much energy into going to school, which is something that I didn't want to do, that I didn't care about. and I think that made me really depressed. So throughout the entirety of my 20s, was I happy? No. No, I was not. After I got involved in social justice organizations, I started working for nonprofits, which, two things here: they didn't pay well for the most part, and they were so stressful because they have like one person doing the job of at least two people, if not more. And that's because most of them are underfunded. Not their fault, but it's a very stressful environment. And so many people that I knew working in those environments were depressed and had a lot of mental health considerations because they couldn't take care of themselves. And so I got caught up in that. I think my breaking point was when I lived in Washington, D.C. I did have the opportunity to live there, and you would think that it would be a great time in my life, an exciting time in my life, when I would be young and free and living in a new city and having all of these amazing experiences. But that unfortunately wasn't my experience at all, because I had low self-esteem, because I had body dysmorphia, because I had social anxiety, because I was still sort of dealing with alcoholism, but part of that was replaced with food. So as I stopped drinking as much, I started eating more, and this is where my proportions really drastically changed. I started eating whole pizza to myself, and that became normal. So that led me to gain basically 100 pounds. I gained 90 pounds in about 3 years maybe. And I've lost some of that weight, but I've pretty much maintained most of it. And I've still maintained my bad eating habits that I developed when I lived in DC. My rock bottom moment was when I was living out of the office from the organization that I was working for in DC. I lived out of the office for like 4 months because I was super burnt out. I was super depressed. I really couldn't take it. I thought I was gonna lose my mind, and I was like, I've got to get out of here. But I couldn't afford to save up money to leave and pay rent, so I came up with a brilliant idea to live out of my office, and that's exactly what I did for 4 months, which allowed me to save up enough money to move and to have a little bit left over so that I ideally wouldn't have to work for a few months, and that's exactly what happened. But during that time, when I was living out of the office, I was depressed, I was miserable, I didn't know what to do with my life, I was so burnt out, I didn't want to do nonprofits anymore, but I really didn't know what to do. And that's when I got into personal development. That's when I found Tony Robbins, Sean Stevenson, Lisa Nichols, all of these people who shared resources, tips, skills that could help you change your life and think intentionally about your life. And that was 5 years ago. Now, here's the thing. At that time, I tried to do a vision board to visualize, where do I want my life to be in the next 10 years? The thing is, I was so lost at that point. I did make a vision board, but it was more kind of based on what's possible versus what do I want? Because I would ask myself, well, what do I want? And I didn't know. I didn't have an answer. I really did not. Now, even though I didn't have a clear-cut vision board at the time, my life has changed in positive ways in 5 years. Instead of living out of my office, I now live in an amazing apartment that I just moved into a few months ago. So yes, it took some time, but here I am. I'm in a relationship with somebody that I love and adore. I have a beautiful dog who is world famous now. And I have a job that actually pays me good and treats me well, which is mind-blowing compared to what I've been through in my past jobs. So in the last 5 years, my life has changed for the better, and I am thankful for that. But I can't exactly say that I'm happy. And that's just because I'm not happy with myself. I'm still struggling with depression, social anxiety, general anxiety, and most of all, which I think is a huge root for these things, body dysmorphia. And so even though I've come a long way, I still have a long way to go, and I want to be intentional about it. So I just a couple weeks ago made a new updated vision board that I actually am passionate about, that I actually want. The things on this vision board are things that I truly, truly want. So this series is gonna be about two things. I thought kind of a lot about the name of the series, and I went from funny things to like true stories of a basic bitch, because I think in general, I'm pretty much a basic bitch. What are you gonna do? I thought about crisis mode because I feel like I'm just in a perpetual existential crisis. I thought of a couple other names that were heavily focused on the fact that I'm not happy with my life, that I feel like a mess and a train wreck. But I thought, you know what, if I'm going to create something positive in my life, maybe I should just start practicing more positive thoughts and more positive language. Now I feel like I landed on something more neutral, and that is, that's enough. That's enough. This title works in two ways. I feel like all of the negative things in my life, like me not loving myself, me struggling with my finances, me having bad habits across the board, especially when it comes to food and health, eating too much, eating junk food. That's enough. You know what I mean? That's enough of that. I really need to turn it around. I'm 30 now. You know, that's still young. I don't want to sit here and be like, I'm so old. I mean, it's easy to feel that way, but in reality, if you think about life, 30 is still relatively young if you are lucky. And I want to be lucky, and I don't want to be the one people that dies of a heart attack in the United States. I want to be healthy and treat myself good and eat good food and get better habits. That's enough of the bad stuff. That's enough of the old me. That's enough of the things that I'm doing, taking responsibility for myself and my life, that I'm doing that are holding me back. Also, the other meaning for the title is that's enough. Like, I am enough. Can I change? Can I grow? Can I improve? Yes, but I'm enough. And I need to like absorb that and really learn to feel that, because part of all my anxiety and my depression, my low self-esteem comes from feeling like I'm not enough, like I'm never enough, like I never will be enough no matter what I do. And I just want to say to myself, that's enough. You are enough. You are enough. That doesn't mean you can't grow, doesn't mean you can't get better at certain things, that doesn't mean you can't evolve. But even as you are right now, you are enough. You are just a being existing in this wild time, space, reality, and you're enough to just be, to just exist, you know? That's kind of why I came up with this title. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's a good title. I hope it's a good series. I hope it's helpful series to people who watch it. I hope if you can't relate that you still get something out of it, even if it's entertainment, because that's part of what I want to learn how to do as well. But if you can relate, then I hope this helps you in your personal life, in your own life. The other thing is I'm literally bringing you guys along for the ride of me learning how to edit and produce a series. And so this first episode will hopefully be way more rough and not as polished as, you know, episode 1 of season 2. And that's because I hope to get a new computer. I hope to get an actual literal camera, because I don't have that. I just have my phone. I hope to improve my editing skills. I hope to improve my production skills and my entertainment quality. You know, I just hope to improve everything. So now that that long montage intro is out of the way, let's get into the things that I would like to change about my life. What have I had enough of? What needs to change? Let's take a look here. I'm thinking about going on an all potato diet for 2 weeks straight. Look how red I am. Red and sweaty. This is the gym. It's huge now. Honestly, I don't even know how it gets this out of control. I really do not. Literally, I'm trying to edit this first episode. Great screenshot there. And my computer's crashing. Like, it can't even hold this 30-minute long video. So I did a thing. I basically ate this whole thing of enchiladas. I need help.